Shilpati, I can't hear you. Shilpati, I think you are muted.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another live session of GETI Talks. My name is Shilpi, and I'm the Relationship Manager with the Global Education and Training Institute. Well, you see somebody next to me. I know you know him. You have watched a lot of his videos on YouTube. He has made you laugh off and on. But let me just give you a small introduction. This person next to me, whom that you see donning a saffron, is more than what appears to the eyes. His name is His Grace Amogh Lila. He is the Vice President of ISKCON Dwarka. He has been a computer engineer with an international firm in USA. He's a graduate from the JSS Noida in computer engineering. He is an actor. He is a preacher. He is a motivational speaker and an orator, as you know, par excellence. So then, if you want to watch his movie, there's a short award-winning movie which he has done, The Trial, some 8 or 10 years back. And of course, this monk is a simple sadhu in this complex world, but then simplicity is powerful, and that is his biggest asset, along with the humor with which he, gets across the typical truths of life to the audience. This monk has nothing with him except a bowl, and in his bowl are nuggets of wisdom and humor. So before I go over to Prabhuji, you can ask me a question as to why did he, what is the idea of bringing him here? Well, because, first of all, I would like each one of you to give a pat on your back. Why? Because we have been able to survive these 6 months, all right, health wise, wealth wise, etc. So let's thank God. Secondly, give a pat on your back because we have been able to do something impossible, working from home and balancing our family life. Give a pat on your back because you were able to survive your in laws. I'm talking to the ladies. You were able to survive your in laws, right? So here, I'll not take much of your time. I'm getting over to Prabhuji, but let me tell you, the basis of this talk would be I'll begin with a little short poem that I read somewhere. Doubt sees the obstacle, faith sees the way. Doubt sees the darkest night, faith sees the day. Doubt dares to take a step, faith soars on high. Doubt questions who believes, faith answers I. I pay my obeisance to the
Wow.
divine in you, Prabhuji, and it's over to you. His topic is Let the Soul Listen to the Super Soul.
Wow. Thank you very much, Shilpati. I'm really honored to be here on this platform to speak on this such a wonderful topic. And Shilpati gave such a such a glorious and I would say such an introduction that now I'm feeling embarrassed. Like there was once there was a guy, he was welcomed in a studio, and he was welcomed that here we have Mr. Ramesh. He is from IIT, and everyone clapped. And this way, so in this way, he was called on the podium, and then he said, "Well, excuse me, guys, I'm not Ramesh. Firstly, I'm Naresh, and I'm not from IIT. I'm from ITI. Did my diploma in ITI." So my introduction today was very much like that she has glorified me to such an extent that certainly to match that benchmark which she has set by such words of appreciation, it would be very difficult for me. But yes, seeking the mercy of the Supreme God, I would try to share some nuggets of wisdom and realizations from my own life as well as from the scriptures, what I've learned from my teachers, from my mentors, my guides, my well-wishers. I will try to explain on this particular topic that let the soul listen to the super soul, like that. So let's begin this. So before I begin, I just offer some prayers so that I am inspired to speak, which is beneficial to you, and also you listen with rapt attention, and you get benefited by this session. So I just offer some prayers. You can also join me in prayers, short prayers, but yes, auspicious one. Om Gyan Timirandhas, Om Gyan Timirandhas, Gyananjana Shalaya, Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Vancha Kalpatarushya Kripasindu Deva Chapadanam Bhavani Yoga Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Radha Shivasa all Bhaktavindu. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 So very good topic, that let the soul listen to the super soul. So okay, we have, firstly we should know about soul, what the soul is all about. Soul is within our existence, and it is very very important part of existence. In fact, we are the soul. Just like the mobile phone, the mobile phone is charged, it is acting in this way. Why? Because it is battery. In case there is battery, then the functionalities, they function in a normal way. All the programs, all the softwares, all the applications, they work in a normal way. The hardware, the software, the operating system, everything works very nicely just because there is electricity. Similarly, this body also is running because it is soul, and soul is situated in the heart, and the the consciousness permeates all across the body. So soul is situated in the heart, and that means, you will see that people, when they say about themselves, they would say, "Arey, come on, I'm there, man. I'm there." Nobody says, "I'm there." Why do you worry? I'm there. Or somebody will say, "Well, I'm there," or "I'm there." Nobody says like that. Naturally, normally we see that in this world, people say about themselves, "Main hoon na, I'm there, man. I'm there." Because actually we are there. That means in the heart, in the region of the heart, there is soul. Actually. So, and the soul is because the real self, and that's why we say, "Well, I am there." Why you worry? I'm there, of course, but I'm here as well. So that is, there is soul, and along with soul, there is also another entity. Oh, I see. There's another entity. Yeah. That is super soul. So super soul, what is super soul? Is it like a Superman kind of soul? When soul becomes like a Superman, so it becomes super soul. No. So super soul is expansion of Lord Shri Krishna, as he says in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15. He mentions that I am there in everyone's heart as a super soul, like that. So in the heart there are two entities. One is we ourselves, that's the soul, and second is the super soul. Okay. So in this world we see that there is soul and super soul residing together in the region of the heart, like the left side. We see that. So that's why we say that. Oh yeah, and let's have faith. Let's have faith. Yeah. People will say all is well, all is well, but actually all becomes well because I am residing in the well. So, but all will become well because yes, I have faith in that super soul as well, which is along with the soul. So there are two entities in the heart, soul and the super soul. In fact, we see that sometimes when we are about to do something wrong, and then there's a voice from within which comes, which says, "You should not do this. That's not right. You're cheating. You're cheating your wife. You're cheating your husband. You're cheating your boss. You're cheating your friend. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that." That voice. That voice is actually that of super soul. Because sometimes we say, "Well, my inner conscious was saying that I should not do that." My inner conscious was saying, what is this inner conscious, man? Come on, your conscious is full of lust, anger, greed, pride, envy, illusion. What can your inner conscious say? So actually that voice which is stopping us to do the wrong thing is the voice of the super soul. Do not do that. No, it's wrong. Don't do that. Yet when we decide, "Arey chhorna yaar, just leave it, man. Just go for it. Have fun, man. This is the time. Come on." And when we do that wrong thing, then there comes a phenomenon of guilt. Guilt. क्यों किया? क्यों किया? ये गलत था. It was wrong. It was wrong. You shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have done that. No, man. How could you do it? How could you do it? What kind of rascal are you? You cheat. You bluff. Oh, you disloyal. You rebellion. All these things. This self blame comes. Or say we blame ourselves for that. Why the hell you did it? So then there is guilt. Actually, so guilt is actually our inner defense system towards the wrong which we do. So firstly, it stops us to do that wrong, and even then, when we just ignore that voice of super soul, we still do it. And then super soul says, "Oh, you naughty guy, you rascal." So that ways we see that that super soul is there in connection with the soul to protect the soul from within the limits of morality. But sometimes soul may not listen to super soul. Why should I listen? Come on. There's something known as fun, enjoyment. Personal sense enjoyment. Then it ignores the voice of the super soul. So that means the super soul is always there as a well-wisher. The Supreme Lord has given His own personal expansion in our heart, so that we work in the righteous way. But yes, we have the choice. We have the choice to either to listen to the soul or super soul or not to listen. And that's why it said life is actually BCD. BCD, yeah. B stands for birth, D stands for death. In between there is C, choices. So between birth and death, there is C, choices. Once there was one reporter, and he asked one very successful business tycoon, "Sir, you are so successful, sir. Can you please share the secret of your success?" He said, "Well, two words." He said, "Right choices." Wow, sir. Wow, amazing. Right choices. So, second question, sir. Sir, how do you make right choices? So, well, one word: experience. Experience. Wow, what an answer, sir. What an answer. Experience that leads to right choices. Wow. So, last question, sir. Last question. So, how do you get this experience, sir? And this business tycoon said two words: wrong choices. So from wrong choices comes experience, and from the experience comes right choices. But yes, life is all about choices. What we choose, whether we choose to listen to Super Soul or whether we choose not to listen to the Super Soul. So that choice is there with the soul, like that. So what are the obstacles that which behooves us so that we listen to the Super Soul? So there are three obstacles. As the very scripture, especially Srimad Bhagavad Gita, it mentions that there are three modes of material nature: mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. Satogun, Rajogun, and Tamogun. Yeah. So these three qualities are there. Satogun is a quality where the person is driven by the sense of satisfaction. He's driven by the sense of happiness. He is more inclined towards knowledge, okay, like a more positive kind of knowledge, meaningful knowledge, productive knowledge, spiritual knowledge. So then such a person is known to be in mode of goodness. Such people are very peace lovers. Such people are more contributing, and they are very much satisfied in themselves. That's a quality of mode of goodness. Or Sattva. Rajogun. Rajogun means the person is wild with desires. So many desires are there. So many ambitions are there. That's passion. Rajogun. Whatever he does it for with a fruitive intent. Whatever I do, what would be the benefit of it? What would be my profit? Always listen, always thinking like that. He's always listening to one FM channel, which is known as WIIFM. What's that? Huh? It's a WIIFM. It is what's in it for me. Huh? What's in it for me? If I do that, what's in it for me? If I choose that girl for marriage, what's in it for me? If I choose that boy, what's in it for me? If I choose that organization, what's in it for me? WIIFM. Passionate people always listen to one FM channel that is known as WIIFM. Yes, and of course, attraction between man and woman is also because of mode of passion. And that ways we see that because mode of passion is ruling that relationship, that attraction, and that's why such attraction they do not last, because mostly such attractions are based on just externals. How good looking the other person is, that's it. And how much would I enjoy with that person, that's it. There's no service attitude, mostly, if not always, mostly. So that's mode of passion. And then there is mode of ignorance, which is tamogun. In mode of ignorance, the person is either too much into intoxication, nasha. It can be intoxication of, say, drinking or, say, smoking, any kind of nasha, any kind of intoxication. That's in mode of ignorance, because intoxication, it binds the intelligence. I've seen in corporate sector, because I worked in the corporate life for 6 years, and we have seen that people go for sutta break, smoking break. They can't work now because the lubrication is finished, and they ask the boss, I'm doing that. So that's tamogun actually. Intoxication, excessive sleep, that's also in tamogun actually. Madness, abnormal behavior, that's in tamogun. So these three modes are there: mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance actually. And we see that all these three modes are there, but yes, one of them is more dominant in our personality out of these three modes. But how to detect that? Which one is my like base mode? Whether mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. Which one is the base one playing the dominant role? Very easy. When I'm alone and nobody's watching me, at that time what am I doing? When I'm alone and nobody's watching me, at that time what am I doing? Because when we are alone, we are in our real form. What we actually are, we behave that way is when we are alone. If I'm alone, if I just go for sleep, that's it. And I drink. Okay, there's no one, I'll just drink. Or say I just do some kind of toxic activity or become excessively angry on someone. It's also a quality of ignorance or tamagun. That means my dominant personality is ruled by my personality is dominantly ruled by tamagun. And in case when I'm alone, I watch something vulgar on the internet, pornography. I call somebody at my home because my mom, dad, they are not there. Let me have fun with her or him. And in this way, this person is driven more by mode of passion because when I'm alone, I do passionate activities, like sensuous activities. When I'm alone, I read books. I got my library and I just read my books. That's it. Constructive books, good books, holy books. So such people are driven more by mode of goodness or sattva. So usually these three modes, they do not let us listen to the super soul. If the soul is covered by tamogun, the soul is so dull. The soul has become so dull that even the super soul is saying something. Hey, soul, do that. Don't do that. Gone. Because the soul is covered by dullness. Like sometimes this happens in Zoom sessions. Sometimes when we have online sessions, people have their videos off and they have their audio off, and then they are in their like, wow. Now let the speaker go on, and we are also in our own words. Oh, uh, yeah. And then the person slips into. So similarly, when the super soul is trying to guide us, at that time when we do not listen to the super soul because of the influence of inertia, dullness, or dull-headedness, or sometimes being angry with someone, grudge, these all qualities are of ignorance. So these qualities that behoove us to connect to the super soul. Okay. Second is this passion, desires, so many desires. That how to grow economically, how I should have a lot of money, and let me get the power. Once I have that power, I have that influence, I'll become famous, and then I'll dominate the organization. Man, these desires, they are so loud in one's head that even though super soul is saying, hey, listen, soul, excuse me, soul, but soul is busy. Well, so I've got one desire, two desire, three desire, 10 desire. Soul, excuse me, please don't disturb. So what I was saying that that's passion. Because of passion, we are not able to listen to the super soul. And sometimes Satogun. Satogun, of course, is very good. And Satogun one is able to listen to super soul to great extent. But sometimes they also get conditioned by the sense of satisfaction. They are so satisfied in themselves that they don't listen to super soul. Super soul says, excuse me, I've got something to say. Well, my dear, if you chant my holy name, you'll be really blessed. I'm satisfied. I don't need your names. I'm satisfied. So that phase, we see that sometimes even mode of goodness becomes a conditioning for us to not listen to the super soul. But of course, out of the three, that's the mode of goodness. Mode of goodness is far better than Rajogun, and Rajogun is far better than Tamogun. But as in Rajo and Tamo, one is not able to listen. In Satogun, one is able to start listening the words of super soul. So that is, of course, one should at least be in mode of goodness, Satogun, so as to hear the words of the super soul. Often, sometimes people say, well, that my inner voice was saying that I should do it. My inner voice was saying that here is your secretary who is so beautiful. Come on, let's enjoy with her. When she is ready, then why aren't you ready, man? And my inner voice was saying that. My inner voice. Now here comes the twist. Sometimes this voice is not of super soul. This voice is that of the rascal mind. And because mind is also inside, super soul is also inside, and we are not able to recognize the source of this voice. So the person thinks that maybe this voice is coming from my super soul. It's coming from Paramatma, God. When friends are saying, "Come on, man," sometimes when there is party, you should drink. Come on, come on, don't be a bacha, man. Don't say that you drink milk. Ah, come on. दूध तो बच्चे पीते हैं यार बोर्नवीटा वाले. Oh, come on, man. Grow up. Yes. Cheers. Yeah. Come on, man. Now the voice is saying, "Come on, then you should also drink." Now this voice is coming that you should also drink. It's coming from the mind. But the person may justify. मेरे अंदर से आवाज आई. The voice was coming from within, and that voice was telling me, "You should go for it. This is an opportunity. This is the chance. You may not get the chance again. Come on, man. Go for it." And that is one listens to the mind, thinking that this was the voice of the super soul, actually. But actually, here the voice was not from the super soul. Since a person has taken discipleship towards the mind, and one very obediently listens to the mind only, and that ways one justifies one's wrong actions by saying that, well, my inner voice told me I should go for it. This inner voice was, yes, it was inner voice. The voice was coming from within, but the source was not super soul. The source was a rascal mind. Mind is, oh my God. Ultimately, it is all about mind. That's why in English we say, mind your own business. We never say body your own business. We say mind your own business because mind plays such a rampant role in life. In fact, you will see in this world, people are suffering less because of the fire in the belly, less because they have insufficient food, less because of the resources, less because of the opportunities, less because of the failures. They are suffering primarily because of their mind. I have seen people who are successful. They have power, post, position, aristocracy, fame, name, respect, influence. They have everything. Whatever we define as happiness, they have it. Yet they are miserable. Why? Because their mind is miserable. On the other hand, we have seen people who have no power, no post, no position, no influence, no fame, no aristocracy, no comforts. They don't have it, but they are still happy because their mind is content. Yes, because the mind is contented, and that is experiencing satisfaction, even though the person may not have much of resources, much of aristocracy, much of wealth in his bank account. Yet he is satisfied. So mind is such an entity which always remains dissatisfied, and that way the person keeps on craving and thinking that these cravings are coming from the super soul. I should go for it, man. Yes, I should go for it. And that way one justifies one's activities, one desires, thinking that they are coming from the super soul. But actually, it is from the mind. Actually, mind is such a repository. It contains all the desires, notions, ideas, unfulfilled desires, and all that. They're all there on the mind. And these desires keep popping up, and we think that these pop-ups from the mind are actually coming, they are actually the voice of the super soul. But that's not like that. It's not like that, actually. So we should, in such a case, in case we are conditioned by the three modes of nature, Sato, Rajo, Tamo, we should not rely on the inner voice because we do not know the source. The source is the mind, or the source is the super soul. नहीं पता साहब. And in case you do not know the source, this inner voice is not very reliable. And but you should do that. Then in such a case, we need a teacher who manifests outside guide us. Yes. So we should accept the role of the teacher or guru, as we have in Vedic culture, used to be gurus. Because even though the super soul is there within, yet I cannot connect to the super soul. Why? Because the super soul cannot be conceived being enveloped in the three modes of nature. And that's why Sato Rajo Tamo being enveloping the soul makes the connection between the soul and super soul not really tangibly happening. So that in such a condition, we listen to Guru. Guru means actually Gu means hell. Ru means deliverer. The one who delivers us from hellish condition of life is actually Guru. And that way, especially for spiritual knowledge, one should have guru. In our professional knowledge, also we seek guidance from so many gurus, whether in the college or then in our organizations. We seek guidance from our gurus. So we must take guidance of a person in case we are conditioned by the lower modes, especially Rajagun and Tamu. Taking guidance of a guru. This word guidance is very interesting. Guidance means GUI, and then dance, DANCE, dance. Oh, so what does GUI stand for? So this GUI stands for God, G for God, U for you, I for I. God, you, and I. God, you, and I. God, you, and I. Dance. That's guidance. Yes. GUI. That's not graphical user interface. That's God, you, and I. Dance. Now, in dance, especially like you might have seen dances like salsa or ballet. In salsa, uh, both the partners they dance very passionately, and but why salsa appears to be such a performance, a very athletic form of dancing, very passionate form of dancing, where it looks so graceful. Why? Because one of them have accepted the role of controller, and one of them have has accepted the role of controlled. Because they have accepted their respective roles, and that's why salsa appears to be a performance actually. In case both of them are fighting, no, I should be the controller, no, I should be the controller. The girl says, no, I should be the controller. The boy says, no, I should be the controller. So when they are fighting for controllership, salsa will become a mess, not message, but mess. So similarly, in our lives as well, God is there as a controller. And when we accept his role as controller and accept our roles as controlled, then our life can become a performance, a salsa. Because I have accepted that, yes, there is a one who is the controller, who is the controller, and I am controlled. Of course, to some extent, I may have control. Say, for example, in my association, choosing association, in choosing my aspirations, in choosing my reactions or responses. Of course, I would say that there is some choice with the soul. Of course, it is there. Some freedom is also there with the soul. Some empowerment is also there with the soul. But not complete power is there with the soul. Complete power is with the super soul. So that means when we act as per the super soul, or in case we are not able to have connection to the super soul, then we are listening to guru or a teacher, then we upgrade ourselves actually. And that's the way one can live one's life in a normal way. Why? Because now I'm listening to a guru or a teacher. And there comes a very beautiful analogy. Um, our attachments, our bad habits, they are like the neck of the goat. And the words of the teacher, they are like the knife. So just like the goat is cut by the knife, of course one should not do that. I'm not saying that one should do such violence towards goats. They are also living entities on the name of Bali as people do. One should not do that. But our attachments, when they have taken the form of the goat, or say in the form of vegetable, so just like the knife cuts the vegetables into pieces, similarly our attachments, wrong attachments, our bad habits, our bad sanskars are cut down by the holy association of the holy teacher, who is not just a theoretical teacher, but also lives the teachings which he lives by. So he teaches. So he walks by his talk. So his walking and talking they are same. So that way we should take the help of such a teacher, and then such a teacher helps us connect to the super soul as well. In case the voice is coming, in case two voices are coming, one is from the super soul, one is coming from the mind. We should always go with these two voices to the teacher. Then why the teacher? Which of this voice is actually of the soul and which are the from the mind? So from super soul or mind, super soul or mind, which one? Which one? Which of the two? The teacher can say actually. The one who is a true teacher, a holy teacher will say, well, this is super soul, this voice, this is from the rascal mind. You should not listen to the rascal mind, but listen to the super soul. Go by this. In this way, we take the guidance, and in this way, we grow in our lives. So in today's session, we highlighted that how to listen to, let the soul listen to the super soul, but not always, especially when we are conditioned by the lower modes. In that case, we need a teacher. And super soul is actually is there in touch with the soul What's the proof? That whenever you are going to do wrong, there will be a guilt. And the phenomena of guilt is very, very important. Phenomena of guilt is a proof that I'm in touch with the super soul. In case that guilt is no more there, despite doing wrong, that means I'm now disconnected from the super soul. Because this happens when we keep ignoring the voice of super soul. So next time the voice is little milder. If first time the super soul says, "Don't do that, that's wrong," we violate that instruction. Still do it. Next time, super soul would say, "Don't do that, that's wrong." We still do it. And then next time, "Don't do that, that's wrong." Right? Again, again, still we do it. That's wrong. Still do that. Next time there's no voice. There's no voice of this person. And then the phenomena of guilt is no more there. Like I heard about some of the terrorist organizations say, how do they kill the guilt in a terrorist? Because ultimate terrorist is also human being. They have a training program that they should wear the shoes and they should jump on the chickens. And when the chickens when they die, so in this way they get free from guilt of killing. In this way they disconnect themselves from the super. So because that guilt has to be overcome. Because actually, but being guilty is not bad. Being guilty is good. It's good. Of course, there are many psychologists in modern times. They say, "Oh, don't be guilty, man. Ho gaya, tum ho gaya. It's okay. It's okay." Well, feeling guilty is good. Feeling good and feeling guilty keeps us in the boundary of morality, and it also is a proof that I'm in touch with the super soul, like that. But yes, that guilt is good. Of course, that guilt should go deep into depression. That's the flip side of it. So that means we should then in such a condition, of course, I should take help of a teacher who's outside, manifested as a representative of God, helping me revive myself from the lower modes of the nature, especially Amogh and Vajra. In this way, the voice of Super Soul is, of course, is very much beneficial, and that's the benevolence nature of God, that He is present individually in everyone's heart to guide the soul. So in our heart, we have got two entities. There is the soul, which is we ourselves, the real self, and then there is super soul as well. Okay. So this was a session which we have covered today. That let the soul listen to the super soul and what are the obstacles in this dynamics of the soul and the super soul. Thank you very much for your patient listening. Hare Krishna. I would request some questions from your side.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. But there are questions. One of our
Great.
team members wants to ask you: whenever we do something wrong, why does the
Uh-huh.
super soul takes a back seat at that point of time when it is the needed? It's needed the most.
Yeah, because God doesn't interfere in our free will. You know, then we have free will. Like for example, mm, here I've got this knife. Yeah, if I'm moving it here and there, up and down, it does not, it cannot say anything because it is dead. It is dead matter, right? In case God also starts interfering in our choices, He starts interfering in our desires, He starts interfering, then what's the difference between me and a dead object? It is same actually. So that means God does not interfere in our free will. But as a well-wisher, He does instruct. कि देखो अच्छा है तो गलत जा रहा है, you're going in wrong direction, don't do that. That voice comes. We all have experienced that. We all have experienced. So that means He is there as a well-wisher to guide, but don't do that. Yet a free will has to be given because we are conscious beings that we should have desires, we should have choices because we are conscious, we are sentient. So that way it is very natural for Lord to give us that freedom. So he has to take a back seat. From back seat he has got a loudspeaker. Hey soul, don't do that. Are you listening to me? No, because I am currently Tamagun. I'll not listen to you. Hey, soul, please listen. No, no, no. No, because I'm Rajogun. I'm in Rajogun. I'm covered by Lush Rajogun. So he has to take a backseat because he can't interfere in the free will of the living entity.
Right. There's another question from this young man. He's a viewer. He just asked how to calm your mind when a lot of things are bubbling in the mind.
Yeah. Actually, when a lot of things are bubbling in the mind, Firstly, one should stop listening to the mind. How?
How?
How? Because the mind is so loud that we have to listen to the mind. So it becomes very theoretical. Because sometimes I've seen some of the teachers, they say, "No, just don't listen to the mind." It's quite theoretical. Reason being, we have to listen to the mind. That rascal mind is so loud. Eh, listen to me. And then we are bound to listen to the rascal mind. In such a case, we should have the higher engagement for the mind.
Hmm.
Mind is like a child, cranky child. They are yelling, they are crying, yeah, yeah, yeah. They are cranky, they are loud, they want to be listened. They are like that, and but they do not listen. So in such a case, we are to give higher engagement to the child, and when then child he quits crying. Why? Because now it has got higher engagement. So in such a case, prayers are very helpful in calming the mind, and because prayer is something in a higher dimension. So it uplifts the mind from lower dimension to higher dimension. So that's calms the mind. Also, one very important thing is apart from prayers, is chanting the names of God. Like the Shastras, I mentioned, Manahatrayate iti mantra. That which delivers the mind is known as mantra. That means the holy name of God. Just like we, the Hare Krishna devotees, we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Loudly and clearly, one may chant the names of God. A Christian may chant Christ's name. A Muslim may chant Allah's name. But calling out God's name is very powerful and effective means to calm down the mind. Like calling out God's names. So that also settles down the mind. Also, one should also be conscious that if I'm taking a lot of passionate food, like say for example, say meat, etc., which is very rajasic and tamasic, then this food also aggravates the functionalities of the mind. And then we see that mind is so restless, so chaotic, so much independent. It's happening because the kind of food which we are taking in. So life works on ego, garbage in, garbage out. So that is what should be conscious about what we are eating, what we are drinking,
Yeah. So
and
coming
people we are
to
associating.
coming to the point of ego, many times even children ask us in the class, as because we are into teaching and education, the difference
Yeah,
between ego and self-respect. Because when we are teenagers, especially teenagers, they feel the ego is the self-respect. All right, if a
yeah,
teacher scolds them in the class, or
that's true.
we get a scolding in office, so we feel like our self-respect has been hurt, or is it the ego which has been hurt? So from you, I would
Actually,
like to know, what is the difference between the ego and the self-respect?
there's no difference. Actually, self-respect is a more sophisticated term for ego, like that. In case if I say, "Come on, man, my ego is hurt," that looks so weird to say that. Okay, let me see it in a better way. I also have got some self-respect. My self-respect is hurt. Wow, that looks so nice. But actually, I'm saying the same thing. So that is, respect should not be demanded. The respect is commanded by our ideal dealings, by our very stable character. And we see that such people, they command respect. When such people, when they walk amongst us, we naturally become respectful. Because such people, they command respect by their behavior, by their dealings, by the purity of the heart. So naturally, such people are respected, even though they may not have any post. I've seen in our organization, people are not having such post, powerful post, but because of their ideal character, their purity of the heart, their pure dealing, their selflessness, it inspires people to such an extent they naturally pay respect to the guy. So that means we should not demand respect; we should command respect by our own behavior and purity of the heart. So that is self-respect and ego. Yeah, same thing. It is actually, self-respect is just a sophisticated sticker on ego, because ego is very, doesn't look like, I can say, oh, I got some ego, man. So sophisticatedly we say just self-respecting. We also have self-esteem, self-respect, the good words, the same thing.
Right. Another question that comes to mind is that when we are dealing with not just families but outside also, there are different temperaments of people, with different
Ah, yeah.
temperaments, different mindset. It becomes very difficult, to get. We are bound to talk to them. It's not that we can avoid them because they are in our working place, they are in our workstations. So
Yeah,
how
that's
do we
true.
deal with such people, without losing our cool, without becoming aggravated or aggressive?
Yeah, actually, we become aggravated or aggressive when we become attached And when we become attached, we have got certain expectations, and when expectations are not fulfilled, that makes us angry. It all begins with attachment, actually. And that is what Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. Dhyayato visham pumsan sangaste shabadayate sangat sanjayate kama kama krodha vijayate. So he tells how it starts. He says that first it starts with contemplation. Contemplation leads to attachment. Attachment leads to desire or expectations, and when they are frustrated, that leads to anger. And when anger is there, the intelligence is bewildered and the memory is lost. And then that leads to fall down, which means some kind of arrogant behavior which is undesirable. But it all starts with contemplation and attachment. So that phase we should not have expectation from people outside, because people can sometimes behave in a very abnormal way, and who will behave in what way, we have no idea at all. Because in our part of education system, there's no training for behavior. It is such a skill-based education or education system. There is no training at all, which is the most important part. No training at all on behavior. No training at all in terms of integrity. There's no training at all about spiritual culture. And that pays people, they groom themselves as money-making machines. And machines are insensitive. Machines are insensitive. They don't have sensitivity. And that is many people, top-notch people I have worked with. Top-notch people, wealthy, post position is there, but they are so insensitive actually. They are so bossy, they are so exploitative, they are so loud, they are so insulting. Why? Because they lack sensitivity. Like for a leader, one should praise in public, reprimand in private. But I've seen many passionate managers, they actually reprimand in public, which is so very wrong action, such an action in terms of being a manager or a leader. So that case, we see that around us, people can behave abnormally. We should expect that. Reason being, there's no training and education, neither from the parent side nor from schools and colleges to for have ideal behavior in what situation. That sensitivity is not part of our education system, and that case, people can behave insensitive, in an insensitive way. So get ready for that. Once you are ready, then you will not feel hurt because I was ready for it. I knew it. Someday, sometime, who can behave what way you are. So once you're prepared for it, you're detached. Once you're detached, nobody can harm you.
Okay. And these days, there's one more problem. People always say, I'm very humble, therefore I suffer. So these days they say, and it's no good to be humble. And parents are teaching their children also that, become clever, become smarter. You can't act like, you can't be so simple. And these days, life is so bad and the world is so bad outside. So is it wrong to be humble? I mean, if you're humble, wouldn't you survive in this world?
Actually, once somebody says I'm very humble, that means this person is not humble, because a humble person never says that I'm humble.
Never says that.
Humble person, yeah, humble person always say, well, yeah, I'm we are working on myself. Um, so he would always say like that. He would not say that, well, I'm quite humble, because this statement in itself is so arrogant, such an arrogant statement. I'm so humble. So one who says I'm humble is not humble. The one who doesn't say that he's humble, he can claim to be humble. We can count him to be humble. Now the thing comes that sometimes when we are soft, when we are humble, people take us for granted. So how to deal with such a situation? We have to understand that being humble is a quality appreciated by those who are wise. I repeat, humble in the quality of humility. Humbleness is appreciated by those who are wise. And people, and when you're sitting with a bunch of people who are not wise enough, and sometimes they take humbleness or humility as weakness, as weak standing or powerless position, like that. In such a case, we need to be assertive, not aggressive. Assertive. Assertive means we say our point. We say our point. We say our say. We give our opinion in a very balanced way. Well, in my opinion, sir, I think I have been misjudged because of reason one, reason two, and reason three. For reason and because although you felt hurt, I'm sorry about that. But I have not done any mistake. Reason one, reason two, reason three. This being assertive, and being assertive is fine. Humbleness is appreciated by those who are wise. And usually in this world, we see that people are not wise. People are qualified, educated, but they are not wise. Because the knowledge has not come from hair to hair. That's why. So that means such a condition, we have to take to the assertive stage. being assertive. I have to say my point. So that's fine.
Right. That brings another question. There are so many questions, but I'm just trying to select. Um,
Uh-huh.
so sometimes it happens that life comes crashing down. Suddenly everything goes wrong around you. And I think one major thing goes wrong and you lose your confidence. And then after that, things just go on going wrong. And it seems nothing is in control. So at that
Yeah.
point of time, when everything around us has just crashed, what is that one thing that can sustain us? That keeps us.
Hope. Hope. What is that? One thing which I should keep, which would
And where
sustain
does
us
that
is
come from? And where does it come
that
from?
comes from that comes from God. Yeah, that comes from God. Things are not in my control. No, your wife is in your control. No, your husband is in control. No, your children. No, your job. No. Okay, man. When you have nothing in your control, ah, so who is controlling? Well, at least I'm not controlling. So in such a case, you have to have patience. You have to have hope. Like during this Corona pandemic, things were beyond our control. In Italy and Paris, people threw their money that this money cannot save my life. They took their money and they threw it on the streets. All the five members in my family, out of five, four have died because of coronavirus. And this money could not save it. Could not save any one of them. And that's why they were throwing money outside. So that is, they should see that things are beyond our control. This coronavirus thing is beyond our control. And our entire world is working on it, but they could not come out with a vaccine. Either in case they have a vaccine, it has got side effects. Whatever. But the point is that sometimes we are very helpless. In such a case, hope. What is making us move ahead in this corona pandemic time? This hope. And one day things will be normal. One day things will be normal. One day things will be normal. Once there was a king, he asked his ministers, give me something after seeing that. If I'm sad, I should become happy. If I'm happy, I should become sad after seeing that. So one minister gave him one ring. And on that ring, it was mentioned, this time shall pass. This time shall pass. So in case you are sad, if you look at this ring, this time shall pass. You become happy. Yeah, this time shall pass. In case you are happy, and look at this ring, you become sad. Oh, this time shall pass. Oh. The point is that hope. Hope is something which keeps us going. So during difficult times, when things are out of control, absolutely life has become messed up, crashing down, as you said. Hope is that okay. One day I'll become like a phoenix bird. You know, phoenix is a bird which it becomes, it turns into ashes and then again takes a rebirth from the ashes. So sometimes we are burned to ashes, but we have the hope that, like phoenix, the bird, I would again take a rebirth, start again from zero. Okay, all right. So hope is something which keeps us going.
I just recollected something. When I was 18 years old, the first time I was stepping out of home, my father came to drop me to the airport and he said that, I can't be everywhere, but God is everywhere. So more than me, trust God. All right. So from that day onwards, something which kept me going is my belief in God. So nowadays, when I see parents, they discourage their children, not discourage, but they feel it's a waste of time if the child is a little bit, inclined towards spirituality, or, he
Yeah,
suddenly starts asking questions. So they say, oh my God, did they get the panic attack?
yeah,
How come, he's getting diverted somewhere else. So they feel it's a waste of time
mhm, yeah. That's true.
to play with children and to go and party with their friends rather than in this they get scared. So why do you think is this the very reason that children these days youngsters are not able to sustain through any uh, failures in life? They don't know
Yeah,
how
yeah,
to take it up, and
yeah.
suicides and depressions and all these things are very much prevalent.
That's true. That's true. So actually, this is not a new phenomena. It is a very, very old phenomena. Like in scriptures, there comes one story of Satyuga, when there was Hiranyakashipu and his son was Prahlad. Prahlad was devoted to the Lord, and he would say, always remember Lord Krishna. And Hiranyakashipu would say, "Well, how dare you remember that God? I am God. There's no other God than me. We can listen that. And then he would do so many atrocities on Prahlad. And at the end, Lord Krishna took his very unique form, Lord Narsingadev, and Lord Narsinga, without a nursing home, he did first gastrointestinal surgery of Hiranyakashipu. Operation successful, patient dead. So that is parents becoming against their children becoming spiritual. It's not a new phenomena. It is happening from Satyuga actually. But you will see that parents they think that हमारा बच्चा
So,
साधु हो गया तो
no.
they fear that बच्चा साधु हो गया तो क्या
हाँ,
होगा डाकू हो जाए तो कहते हाँ that is okay. हमारे बच्चे ने चंबली घाटी में अपना ऑफिस खोला है that's fine. उसकी चंबली घाटी में उसका ऑफिस है oh wow he has got an office in Chambal wow that's nice अच्छा वो साधु हो जाए what no. So what's the result of such thing? That in future, when these children who are godless, who are not blessed by the grace of God, they lack in values. When they grow up, they let their parents go to Vrindhashram, old age homes, because I want privacy. Here is my darling, Monica, darling. You want my parents out? Yes, love you, darling. Parents, go to old age home. I and my Monica stay in this house. Yay! I hope there is no Monica in audience. It's just a joke. The point is that then such children who are lacking values, then they become ungrateful towards their parents when they grow up. So that phase, if in case we want children to learn values, we should inspire them for spirituality right from their young age. That's very important. That's good for parents as well.
right.
They don't do that, they have to face consequences.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. It was such an enlightening discussions with you, and I once again pay the obeisance to the divine in you. And looking at your thing, I would like to tell the viewers he has been very active during the pandemic. So his temple has been serving many laborers and migrants who were there in Delhi, and we have been a part of it. Thank you so much. And you know what? Chalte chalte. Thank you once again for joining the disruptive education movement started by Dr. Sunita Gandhi. There is one share which I remembered, not that share, but the other one.
Irshad.
जिंदगी जिंदा दिली को जान ए रोशन जिंदगी
Uh-huh.
जिंदा दिली को जान ए रोशन यूं तो कितने
Uh-huh.
ही हुए और फना होते हैं वो आपको देख के याद
Uh-huh.
आया thank you so
Oh
much
my
so
God.
we will again see
Honor,
you on
honor.
on this platform in the coming future. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Honor is mine. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Shilpati. Grateful to you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna,
Hare
everyone.